Welcome to the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role as a catalyst in this transformative era.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Stephanie Brandolini, and I'm so excited to be talking with you here today. First off, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank yourselves, because not everyone just gets out of bed on a Saturday morning to reboot their lives for this epic 2025 and beyond. So I'll just get right into it. I always love to ask a question to start things off. So my question for you is, what if that thing that you've been running from, that thing that you think is your greatest weakness, actually holds the key to unlocking your greatest strength, your hidden superpower, as I like to call it? Well, that's exactly what I'm here to talk to you about today. I'm here to share and show with you how to go from weakness to warrior by remixing fear and rising from it. Now, fear kind of gets a bad rap, doesn't it? There's so many quotes about fear that I absolutely love. One of them that is coming to mind right now is when Nelson Mandela said that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. He was right, and I love that quote. I kind of like to use the word victory instead of triumph, but I've discovered on my own journey, and as I'm helping guide others through this process I'm going to share with you, is that there's a lot more to it than just triumphing. There's a process to, really seeing what the fear is here to teach you. And, the only reason I can really stand here and boldly share about overcoming fear and all of this is because I've literally lived it multiple times. There was once a time when I was so driven by fear that I couldn't see how lost in my misperceived weaknesses I truly was. And I'm going to share a little bit about my personal story just so that we're not total strangers. You can get an idea of where I've come from and why this system is so important that I'm going to share with you. You see, now, I already said my name. My name's Stephanie Brandolini. Now I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I am a gifted writer and storyteller, award-winning screenwriter, a two-time international best-selling author, and I am here to change the world with storytelling and creativity and help other people achieve their God-given dreams. But like I said, I used to be driven by fear. And the biggest thing I've overcome that had so many layers of fear and things that I got to overcome underneath it is I was once trapped in the darkness of a very severe eating disorder for a good 15 years. It was fear that trapped me in this, and it was faith that finally freed me from it. And it's faith and a lot of other things together that has allowed me to rise higher into higher and higher echelons of who my creator, who I call God, designed me to be. And, I've been recovered for a good 10 years now by the grace of God. Thank you, Father. And, while I wouldn't want to relive my experiences, I wouldn't change them because, I believe that we all go through our kind of dark nights of the soul, our crucibles, our crosses to bear for a reason. And it's the worst ones, that really shape and transform us and unearth that special superpower that I believe we're all meant to achieve if we choose, by the way. Not everyone's going to choose this because it's not easy, but it can be a lot more easeful than we think. And that's why I've developed this system, because systems save you time, energy, and money. So let's get into that, guys. The system that I developed, I've called the AFER system. So it's AFER, see how I remixed fear there. A stands for accept where you are so you can shift it. F stands for face your fears and feel it so you can see what lies beneath it. And then E, that's one of my favorite steps actually, is embrace. Embrace what you find beneath the fear and see the gift within it, which is all about healing. And then R is when you get to rise with the fuel, the gift, the light that this healed part of yourself had to give you. And I'd always say too, I rise with the power of God too, because that will take you to higher levels than you can ever imagine. Again, if you choose, guys, y'all got free will, and I'm not here to mess with it. But I invite you along this journey with me today to see how you can remix fear in your life and, not just overcome fear, but find like these hidden jewels, gold that is waiting for you to find that will help you in your life, your relationships, your business, in everything. And it becomes a thing of not running from fear, but, learning what the fear has to teach us. And one more thing about me that I wanted to tell you guys is I am a huge Star Wars fan. How huge? Well, this huge. The force of faith is strong with me. But seriously, guys, there's always been something about the dark side and the light that's drawn me. And that's because there's darkness and light within us all. And that acceptance has really allowed me to kind of dance with these parts. I call it the dichotomous dance of life. And I truly believe that it's in the coming together of our light and darkness where our true potential really lies. So let's get into it, you guys. And I always like to start off these kind of talks and processes with a bit of breathing because that might soften some areas in you that might be subconsciously resisting looking at some fear today. So I've developed something I call 7-part breathing. 7 is a very powerful number spiritually, and I also happen to be born on October 7th, so it's a very special number to me. But seriously, let's just breathe before I get into it, you guys. So breathe in for 7 and hold for 7. And then breathe out for 7, nice and slow. It might have been a bit longer than 7, but it's good to breathe it all out. All right, so now we can begin. So the first step in this whole process is accept. So you got to accept that this fear is here, that this weakness, whatever it is you've been running from, is there because what you resist persists, and acceptance is the doorway to transformation. When you accept it, you can transform. And, the biggest thing that's helped me in coming to accept these things that, I really didn't want to face is stillness. And that can be very contrary to like the ego, to the mind, and like, because we're like programmed by society to be like going, 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 we got to do this, do that, be productive. And like, of course, we got to be productive, guys, especially as entrepreneurs. But stillness is very powerful. It's where you can really connect with yourself, with God, and with that like inspiration and spirit that will give you the keys that you've been needing, that you've been running around trying to find by yourself? So be still and know that I am God is a very powerful verse that has helped me through this. And I invite you to use that yourself. But really too, with this first initial step, this is like the foundation step that, the rest of the steps get built on. Because when you come into this from a place of acceptance and that's your foundation, the rest of it just flows way more smoothly. Trust me, I tried going ahead to different to steps and it didn't work out. So don't skip steps. So I like to use visualization when I do this on myself, when I help others. So I often, like in my mind's eye, imagine like myself just sitting in there in kind of a dark void. And then whatever is trying to come up, like let it come up. Let whatever it is come up. There'll likely be one thing that is calling for your attention today. And let it come up. Let it come up without any judgment, without any condemnation. This is where God really helps because God is never going to condemn you. God is only going to love you. And that love is needed in this process. So let it come up and just like stay still. Stay still and be with it. And just that's all you need at this step. Seriously, just be still and know that this is all coming up for a reason and stay with it. And that leads us into the next step, facing it. So this is where a lot of people want to run away because almost everything in you will want to run. We don't want to face these things that we've been suppressing, likely for years, and this part of you that is coming up, it's a part of you, by the way, guys. So this is where you get to accept it and now face it and allow it to kind of take a shape. It'll take the shape of you most likely, like a younger version of yourself. Maybe it's a you from yesterday, maybe it's 5-year-old you, whatever comes up, allow it to come up and, know that fear isn't the enemy here. Fear is the doorway. So let it come up, like sit with it, let this version of you take shape. And seriously, like this has always helped me and helped people I work with in this is like look it in the eyes. Look yourself that's coming up in the eyes. And then look beneath it, beneath the part of you that's coming up here. Because it's never about the surface thing. It's always about what's beneath it, the pattern, the limiting belief, the wound. When I was overcoming my eating disorder, I realized, like, well, it took me a bit to really realize this, but I kind of always knew it was never about the food. It was never about what I looked like, even. It wasn't about the numbers on the scale. It was about control. And under that, um, there was a lot of insecurities and ultimately a limiting lie that I wasn't good enough. And, it took a lot to heal that, and God definitely helped me here. And, this facing step, a lot of fear will likely come up, but just let it. And again, keep the stillness, bring the acceptance in, and just know that, you are not designed with a spirit of fear. You are designed with power and love and a sound mind. And that sound mind is going to serve you very well here to just stay with this part that's coming up and all the things beneath it because this is where the gold lies and what lies beneath. So now that you can kind of see these layers, and by the way, guys, I would usually go quite a lot slower with people I'm working with one-on-one or in groups, but for the sake of this talk, I'm going a little quickly through these steps. But just know that these steps and phases at these steps take some time. And I'm going to take a little bit of extra time at this next step, E for embrace, because I love this step. And this is the step that is really where the transformation happens, where you get to alchemize this fear, this part of yourself, this wounded part that is coming up and needs to be seen. It's likely been wanting to be seen for quite a while. So this part of you, this is what happened to me anyway, and how I like to kind of guide people through this, but I always like to say, like, let whatever's coming up for you come up. So you're facing this part of you. You look beneath, there's layers of things like for like I showed you my example of I didn't feel good enough. Well, allow that, accept that, and then literally in your mind's eye, but also you can do it physically, like embrace this self. Because this self really ultimately needs love from you and from God. God is like, I always visualize God like overseeing all of this and his grace just kind of raining down upon the whole operation. And this part of you, this is what happened to me anyway. A lot of these parts that I've done this process with were not very happy with me because I'd been suppressing them, like some of them had been like kept locked in the basement kind of thing. So there needs to be a bit of trust rebuilt between yourself here for it to really, trust you again. And, it might take some time at this step especially, but just trust that whatever's coming up is for you. And oh my God, you're going to learn so much about it and you're going to get some gold out of this that is exactly what you need. Because these parts too, they come up when they're ready. And you might not feel ready, but trust me, you are. So this embracing part, so you're hugging this part of yourself, you're hugging it in your mind's eye. And, maybe this part is like thrashing around, like, I don't like you, but eventually this part of you will still and get quiet with you and be like, okay, maybe I can hug this part back. Maybe not, might be a little hesitant. Um, so embrace it. And this is the visualization that's really helped me and helped many people I've worked with on this is imagine this part of you is wearing like a dark cloak, like a shroud of shadows. And this cloak starts to fall away. So it's like dissolving, or maybe the threads are unspooling, or maybe it's getting ripped off like a band-aid, however it happens. But this shroud of shadows falls away. And then underneath it is a light that this part of you has been carrying, this gift, this inspiration, whatever, this key for you to go to the next level. It's carrying it. And because you've gone through these steps, you have allowed it to reveal itself to you because it's now starting to trust you again. There's a love bond formed here now. So, and just remember this part too is, what you embrace, you integrate, and what you integrate, you transform. And what you transform, you become empowered by. So this light, this whatever is coming out of this part of you is what you need to go to your next level. And this part of you is so glad that you found it. It's like this part of you is probably like, it's about time. I remember hearing that actually literally from God one time when I surrendered to something and he's like, it's about time. It's funny. Um, but anyway, this light that's coming out of this part of you, let it shine. Shine so bright, like you might even be blinded by it. And you know, this part too is when you get to see the true brilliance of who you really are, because this is you, remember? And remember too that in these kind of processes and healing modalities, like you get to come as you are, especially to God. God doesn't want you to be fixed up and perfect before you come to him. In fact, he wants you to bring the mess to him. So bring it because your mess is your message. So, yes, you're embracing this part. You've seen the gift. The gift for me, one of the gifts anyway, that my insecurities were holding me back from, is I used to actually have a very deep-seated fear of public speaking. So I did this whole process looking into that, and I actually discovered that I love speaking, hence why I'm here right now. I have a gift of it, and when I'm just doing it without even trying, like gold comes out of me. And I would never have found that without facing the fear. And now I get to help more people because I get to use my voice. I've used my voice on the page very well. Now this is the next level. So yeah, embracing this part, and I always like to use this visualization too. Imagine this part, this lit up part of you now, like dissolving into you, like embrace it and let it dissolve into you. Like you're literally integrating this part. It's let go of the shadows, and now the light you get to integrate. And oh, I just felt that. I felt that as if I was doing it all over again. And now this light is like your fuel to take you to the next level. And now we're at the final step, the rising step. And this is where the fuel of this part of yourself is used to lift you higher, is to like you're on this rising ascent now. But just so you know, rising is not all smooth sailing. In fact, you might feel like you're falling at first, but just trust and keep going with this joy you've likely found within this part of yourself. And trust that God is there with you. And this is part two where surrender really amplifies this whole thing because you don't have to strive for this. You don't even have to try. Well, you do have to do some work, but it's not in the trying way that most society makes you think it is. It's more like remembering who you really are. Aristotle said this very well. It's like learning is not, or knowledge is not learning. It's about remembering. And you're remembering your true power that lies within all these wounds and fears that have built up over life. And now it's time to let it go and rise. And, kind of think of it like like a rocket ship, when a rocket ship takes off, it's shaking, explosions are going off, all this stuff. But just trust that that's part of the ascension. And when you're on this upward trajectory, like, things will happen. The fear will try to come and grab you out of the sky. The flaming arrows of who will come and try to take you out. But just know that you are protected. And if you fall a couple times, that's okay. You probably will. But just know that you have the fuel, the power to get up again. And there's probably another part of you that needs to go through this process and be healed and find that power and all of that. So, yeah, guys, the rising is really important. And you know what? When I was developing this talk, um, I went through this whole process several times actually. And what I got at this rising step, because honestly, guys, I was rising and then I had a fall and I was like, what's happening, God? Like I meant to deliver this talk. I wanted to speak on it authentically. I want to share what really goes on in all these processes. And I got this very interesting download where God told me that I am a vessel for eternity. Because at the time I was getting all worried about time, running out of time, like, oh, all this stuff around time was coming up. So then God gave me a download of eternity. I'm like, what does this mean? But basically, what I figured out, well, not figured out, but like sensed out, what it meant was, those dreams I'm going for, the dreams that you're going for, the goals, the aspirations, that life, it's already happened. It's already there. So when you go after it with like the intentions and with the power of all these parts of yourself you get to heal, there's no stopping you because it's already happened, but you get to believe it, walk it out in faith, and just keep going with that power that lies within you. I truly believe we all have this divine gift power that we're meant to share with the world. And the more we do, the better the world will be. It's like the best butterfly ripple effect ever. And, as you kind of go through these kind of processes and experiences, like, don't worry about, doing it perfect for one thing. There's no perfect in any of this, but it's trust that everything that comes up is meant for you, and you are a vessel for eternity, for whatever God is putting on your heart today that you are that for. You are a vessel for your own dreams and for those you're meant to help in this lifetime. And truly, guys, God has helped me so much with this because, those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength and soar on wings like eagles. So I'm coming to the end of my time here, and I just want to reinforce with you guys that this is just the beginning. This is like these kind of steps and processes, you kind of got to do them a couple times, but I truly do believe that there is true healing. Like, you don't have to do everything always like repeatedly, although repetition is important. But this is why I like to do like a specific fear, a specific weakness that you get to overcome and integrate the part of yourself that has been experiencing the fear and such. So just know that, these things take time, but it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. I declared that this year was my quantum leap year. So I invite you all to claim that for yourself as well, or claim whatever it is that's on your heart to claim, and know that, divine timing is real. You're all here for a reason. If this has been resonating with you, I invite you to really examine like what the fear is that's coming up or whatever is blocking you, because we all got blocks, guys, but the blocks are the way. And, especially when you got God with you, there's nothing stopping you from blasting through them and going to your highest life. And, as we close out here, I just want to remind you all that, you've got this. And when you don't, God does. And, I'd love to stay connected with anyone and everyone here who resonated with this. And yeah, you can find me online. My website, stephaniebrandolini.com. stephbrandolini@gmail.com is my email. I'm on the socials and all that. And yeah, guys, I'm just here to help people with what I've learned through all the things I've been through, to inspire and to truly change the world with art and storytelling and creativity, because that's my gift. And I'm here to help others unlock their gifts and walk in their God-given purpose. So thank you so much, you guys, for being here today. And as I always like to say, may the force of faith be with you all.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.